The medical examiner ruled Luis's death a homicide.
Oh.
Luis had been stabbed multiple times.
She's gotten stabbed? She got stabbed a bunch of times? Yo, what is up, YouTube? I'm back with another react video, and today we will be watching 6 most disturbing unsolved Appalachian, I hope I say that right, mysteries! Yippee! I'll be linking the video down in the description as always, so you guys can check it out if you'd like. Make sure to check out my Twitch so you don't miss out on anything I do. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. And let's get right into it.
Dennis Martin.
Okay.
On the afternoon of June
Dennis
14,
Martin.
1969, 6-year-old Dennis Martin was spending Father's Day weekend with his family in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. He was there with his father.
Yo, chat. Yo, YouTube. Have you ever been to a national park? Actually, I've never been to a national park before. I don't know if that's only like an American thing, but I've never been into one. That's kind of cool though. I want to visit one as well. That would be so fucking cool.
Her grandfather and older brother near Spence Field, a remote high country
with
area
grandpa
along the
and older
Appalachian
brother.
Trail. It was supposed to be a simple family camping trip. Instead, it turned into one of the most disturbing missing child cases in American history.
The most
Late that day,
disturbing?
Dennis and a few other boys decided to play a prank. The plan was to hide along the trail, wait for the adults to come by, and jump out and scare them. To pull it off, the boys split up. Dennis went one way, the others went another. A few moments later, the other boys came back, but Dennis didn't. His father, Bill Martin, started calling for him almost immediately and began searching the area on foot. There was no answer.
I mean, what the hell? Why is there a hike trail? Wait, why would you even let your little kid out of your sight? Like, okay, if you go to a national park or anything, for example, I feel like people just don't watch their kids enough. Like, it's like you just gotta go and watch your kid, man. What do you mean? What the f do you mean? Like, what the hell? That poor kid, man. Also, one of the most disturbing cases. I don't know how I feel about that.
No movement in the brush and no sign of a little boy in a bright red shirt. And this was not easy terrain. Dennis had vanished in steep, heavily wooded mountain country where a child could disappear from view in seconds. If he had wandered off the trail, fallen, or gotten confused, the forest could have swallowed him almost instantly.
Literally.
As if things weren't bad enough already, they only got worse. Not long after Dennis disappeared, a hard rainstorm moved into the mountains. Heavy rain pounded the area, and whatever tracks or scent Dennis may have left behind were being wiped away in real time.
No,
By
man.
nightfall,
why does this kind of shit always happen with like bad fucking things? This kind of shit always happens when a kid is fucking missing or something. It's like, dude, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like really, what do you call that? When you're like, you know, superstitious? I don't know, man. Something's going on, bro. Something's going on, man. That's just so fucking strange, man.
the temperature had dropped too. For a 6-year-old dressed for a summer outing, not an unexpected night alone in the wilderness, this was a serious danger all by itself.
It's gonna be so
Family members and rangers kept looking through the darkness, trying to find them before the mountains and weather made things even worse. By the next morning, the search had grown into something enormous. What began as a frantic family search turned into a full-scale operation involving rangers, volunteers, Boy Scouts, horse teams, helicopters, National Guard members, and even Green Berets. Before it was over, thousands of people would take part.
That's very sweet though of the people helping.
Searchers were involved in a single day. More than 56 square miles.
I would too. I would immediately try to help.
After all that, they still found nothing physical to indicate what happened
Absolutely
to Dennis.
nothing?
There were leads, but none of them changed the case. For example, small footprints were found in the area and appeared to belong to a child. They seemed to head toward a stream and then disappear. They were Oxford prints, and because Dennis was wearing the same kind of shoe, the prints drew immediate attention. But officials decided they were instead probably left by a Boy Scout helping with the search. As the days passed, darker theories started to take hold. The most famous came from a man named Harold Key, who claimed he heard a terrible scream not long after Dennis vanished. Soon after that, he said he saw a rough-looking man moving quickly through the area with something red slung over his shoulders. Dennis had been wearing a red shirt, so the account naturally drew attention, but there seemed to be a problem. The timeline and distance did not quite fit well enough. Investigators believe the man Harold described was too far from the place Dennis had last been seen, and too little time had passed for the sighting to make sense. Both park rangers and the FBI ultimately concluded there was not enough to connect disappearance. Still, the abduction theory never really died. Dennis's father believed his son had been taken, and a lot of people understood why. A child vanishes in broad daylight, and an enormous search follows, yet not one trace of him is ever found.
Yeah, that is kind of strange. As a child, I don't know, as a child, when you like get lost, I feel like a lot of kids, well, it depends, right? Because if they just keep on running around, yes, that is probably an issue. But I feel like a lot of kids, when they realize that they're truly like lost, they just start screaming, right? They just start yelling for help and like yelling for their parent or something. Isn't that what usually happens? I feel like they would have heard him, unless he actually like fell or fell into a water, even worse. But even then I feel like they would have screamed for something. You would have heard that. It's a huge area, right? I feel like you would have heard like screams and cries, unless you get, of course, kidnapped and somebody like, you know, prevents you from screaming. I feel like that is a valid theory that somebody kidnapped the little guy, because like, I don't know, I feel like you would hear that. You would definitely hear that in a huge area, I feel like.
They believe Dennis most likely became lost and died somewhere in the wilderness soon after disappearing. It is the least dramatic theory, but it may also be the most likely. An animal attack has also been suggested over the years, usually involving a bear or feral hog, though that theory has always had its own problems. No blood was found, no torn clothing, no obvious sign of a violent encounter. By June 29, the active search was called off. The volunteers were exhausted, leads had dried up, and the mountains had given up nothing. Dennis Martin was never found.
Wow, that is never found, ever.
Scott Lilly. Scott Lilly was not the kind of person most people would expect to see tackling the Appalachian Trail.
Got Scott now.
He was not some hardened outdoorsman or seasoned long-distance hiker. But in the summer of 2011, the 30-year-old from South Bend, Indiana...
So like the Appalachian? Is that how you say it? The mountains? I've heard a few things about them. Apparently there's like weird noises at night. There's like people disappearing. There's also, I guess, some sightings of like skinwalkers, but I don't know about the whole skinwalker thing. I don't know if I want to believe in it, or if I want to believe in it or not. Like, I don't know about the skinwalkers, but there's a lot of weird shit going up there. Has anybody of you guys ever been to the Appalachian Mountains? Have you guys ever been there? I want to know. Please write it into the comments if you have.
Indiana decided to shoulder a backpack and head south on one of the most famous footpaths in America.
Okay.
Part of the appeal was history. Scott had a strong interest in the Civil War, and that helped draw him toward Virginia, a state dotted with battlefields. But this hike does not seem to have been just about scenery or history. It appears to have been something more personal, a way to clear his head and work through whatever was weighing on him at the time. On June 15, 2011, Scott set out on an ambitious journey.
I feel like a lot of people go outside and go hiking if they want to clear, for example, their heads or stuff like that. I'm not much of a hiker, I'm not gonna lie. I don't really go outside hiking, but I do go walk my dog every single day, and just walking with the dog around really does clear your head. So going outside, if you like have a lot on your mind, I feel like going outside and just going out and like walking around, looking at the area and stuff can definitely clear your mind. Yes.
The plan was to hike the Appalachian Trail southbound from Maryland all the way to Springer Mountain in Georgia.
Holy f***! What do you mean? That is so long! Oh my f***ing god! How? What the? How do you even do that? Do people actually do this kind of shit?
For someone who is still relatively new when it came to hiking...
Relatively new. Girl, you're not hiking that. You're not hiking that. Girl, just stop. Just stop. You're not hiking that.
No small undertaking. But by the time he reached Virginia, he seemed to be doing just fine.
Oh, he actually reached
to the mountains of Nelson County and taken on a stretch of trail near the Priest, a rugged area where the Appalachian Trail climbs above 4,000 feet. By then, he may have felt like he had found his rhythm. Then, somewhere around July 31, things went quiet. That was the last point at which anyone is known to have seen or heard from Scott.
No,
what
man.
believe is that Scott may have been heading toward Cow Camp Gap Shelter, a well-known community-used simple wooden structure along the trail. That made sense. The Cow Camp Gap was a logical next stop on his journey. From there, he may have planned to continue into Buena Vista, a small town along the trail with supplies. If that was his plan, there was nothing unusual about it. That is how life on the Appalachian Trail works. Hikers move from one shelter area to the next. And sometimes, because everyone is spread out and moving at their own pace, people disappear from each other's view for hours or even days without it seeming alarming at first. It is a very isolating place.
Did he undergo that hiking all by himself?
Absence may not have looked like a crisis. But somewhere in that ordinary gap, something went terribly wrong. On August 12, 2011, nearly 2 weeks after Scott was last known to be on that stretch of trail, a group of hikers made a horrifying discovery near the side trail leading to Cow Camp Gap Shelter. They found a body in a shallow grave. It was Scott Lilly. Right away, it was obvious this was not a simple wilderness death. Someone had tried to hide what happened to him. Not very well, but enough to delay discovery. Investigators believed Scott had likely been dead for around 12 days by the time.
Wait, what? Hold on, wait. A makeshift grave. He was found in a makeshift grave? So somebody must have dug that grave up, right? Somebody must have put him there. But like, I feel like, okay, if he were murdered, right? I feel like the murderer would just leave him there, no? But like, if somebody found a grave and did not call the police? No, if somebody found his body and they did not call the police, they decided to put him in a grave instead? That's so stupid. Wait, what? What? I'm so confused.
Found. That meant he had probably died not long after the last known stretch of his hike near the Priest in late July. And the location only made the case more unsettling. Cow Camp Gap was not some foreign corner of the mountains. It was part of a well-used recreation area. Hikers passed through it. Campers even used it. It was secluded enough for someone to hide a body, but not so remote that no one would ever come across it. That meant whoever put Scott there either took a major risk or felt comfortable doing it. Months later, investigators released one of the case's most disturbing details. In January 2012, the medical examiner officially ruled Scott's death a homicide. His cause of death was asphyxia by suffocation. Some of his belongings were also missing and never recovered.
He did get killed.
His relatively new trail shoes, a Nintendo game, and an Appalachian Trail handbook. That immediately raised the obvious question. Was Scott killed for his gear, or were those items taken for some other reason entirely? Investigators never publicly gave a clear answer.
He got killed
on federal land. The FBI took
because he had stuff on him.
He worked alongside National Park Service rangers, U.S. Forest Service officers, Virginia State Police, and local authorities. Agents and officers collected more than 100 pieces of evidence. They covered more than 270 miles of trail. They conducted 83 interviews of hikers in the area at the time across multiple states and even in 2 foreign countries. 1 year after Scott's murder, the FBI even announced a $10,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of his killer. But despite all of that, the case never broke open. No suspect was publicly identified and no final timeline was established. It was never found out exactly what happened to Scott Lilly in his final hours on the trail, which sparked much speculation. Some seem to paint the area around Cow Camp Gap as an area crawling with dangerous mountain recluses or hidden predators waiting just off the trail. But that image does not really hold up.
No,
this was a well-used
I feel like if you get especially like dying by getting strangled, I feel like, okay, a snake can probably kill you by strangling you, yes, but like, when does that happen though? I don't think that, no, he was definitely killed. He was definitely killed. Somebody must have been desperate enough or has done this multiple times before. Somebody must have been actually genuinely just must have killed him. Straight up. Probably wanted his gear. Maybe was desperate enough to want his gear and just went ahead and strangled the poor guy. Or somebody that genuinely murders people a lot of times in these hiking trails must have killed him, man. Holy f***, that is so f***ed up.
Not some lost world cut off from everybody else. And that may be one of the creepiest parts of all.
Yeah, that's the problem, though.
A route hikers used all the time. Then, somewhere in that stretch of Virginia backcountry, he crossed paths with the wrong person.
Yeah.
And exactly what happened next has remained unknown to this day.
He must have crossed paths with the wrong person. I bet somebody else was in that lodge thingy,
Derek
and
Luking.
then,
Before Derek Luking disappeared into
must
the
have sweet-talked him,
a section
probably.
of the Appalachian Mountains in March 2012.
So it must have looked normal to other
people
people.
had already started to feel like something was wrong. In the months leading up to his disappearance, his father noticed changes in his 24-year-old son. Derek had started drinking and smoking, which his family considered unusual for him. He also seemed unhappy with where his life was heading. The mystery began on March 15, 2012, when Derek did not show up for work. No one could reach him as calls to his phone went unanswered.
Oh no,
A mutual
he
friend
must
eventually
have.
alerted his roommate, Ryan, and from there the concern escalated fast. Ryan contacted Derek's family, and the Lukings drove through the night from Virginia to Tennessee.
That is so
They started digging through
sad.
anything that might explain where he had gone. On Derek's computer, they found searches related to Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
Okay.
They also found a hotel reservation. That meant Derek had not just disappeared at random. He had made some kind of plan. And for whatever reason, that plan had led him toward the North Carolina side of the Smokies.
But what kind of plan
But
must that
why?
have been?
That was the question hanging over everything from the beginning. 2 days later, on March 17, surveillance footage captured Derek leaving the Microtel Inn and Suites in Cherokee, North Carolina at around 4 o'clock in the morning. He was carrying only a day pack. That was the last confirmed sighting of him. After that, Derek effectively walked out of view and never came back. Inside his hotel room were details that only made the case stranger. His family found a Bible on the bed and a liquor bottle on the floor. It suggested he may have been wrestling with something emotional, spiritual, or both. Later that same morning, around 8:30, Derek's white Ford Escape was found at Newfound Gap high in the Smokies near the Tennessee-North Carolina line.
Okay. This might be far-fetched. This might be very, very far-fetched. But, strange changes in your son all of a sudden, okay, doesn't like where his life is heading. Could be, the guy just wanted to probably either go out of this world, maybe, or, but with the Bible thing, maybe he was wrestling with something that he thought was spiritual. Maybe. Who knows? Honestly, okay, it's the Bible that gives me that impression, right? Because like if you're having problems with something that is like spiritual and that is like bad energy or stuff like that, I feel like you'd probably grab a Bible to like, help yourself in that situation. But also, I don't know. I have no clue. I mean, it could also just be the trying to get out of this world type of thing, maybe.
His family came across it by sheer luck while searching for him. Inside the vehicle was a note. Its message was short but chilling. Do not follow me. But despite this note, people did, because by that point the case no longer looked like a man taking a private trip. It looked like a disappearance headed towards something much worse. And what investigators found inside the SUV only deepened the mystery. Derek had bought a surprising amount of outdoor gear. There were maps of the national park, a tent, a sleeping bag, food, cord, cutting tools, lights, and other survival items. It looked like the setup for a serious wilderness outing. But there was one major problem. Derek had left most of it behind. His wallet and cash were still in the car too. The scene made almost no sense. If he meant to survive in the backcountry, why walk away from the very gear that would have made that possible?
Okay, no, that's so strange.
Maybe Derek only planned to take a short walk and return for the rest of the stuff.
That's so strange,
though. Maybe he was trying to imitate the stripped-down survival style of Man vs. Wild, a show family said he liked.
I don't know.
Maybe he never had a coherent wilderness plan at all.
He said he liked it.
Maybe someone else entered the picture after he arrived at Newfound Gap. Search and rescue teams soon moved into the area.
I feel like that's the case. I feel like that might have been the case. He must have maybe he must have tried to help somebody outside of his car, because I don't think he would ever like just buy the stuff and then not use it. Like, what's the point of it? If he thought of doing like the whole man versus wild thing, then he would have not probably spent the money to get the gear, no? I feel like he must have gotten the gear and then must have tried to either help someone, and that someone must have not been, you know, that someone must have been somebody that they didn't, you know, that is just there to lure people out into the wild to get stuff from them. Maybe. My verdict is I think he got lured outside of his car.
And 3 dog teams took part, covering more than 70 miles of trail around the parking area. They checked places where someone could have left the trail, pushed into the brush, and disappeared. Rangers asked if anyone had seen Derek, a young man matching his description, or anything unusual around Newfound Gap that day. And this is where the case gets even stranger. It was a sunny day. People were out hiking, picnicking, and moving through the area, yet no dependable witnesses ever emerged to place Derek there. There was one possible sighting along Newfound Gap Road that suggested he may have entered the woods from there, but that lead led nowhere. Then the case took an even darker tone. Around the same time Derek vanished, another young man disappeared in the same general area of the
it must have been
Giovanni Cacchini. Friends last saw him on March 18, 2012, just a day after Derek was last captured on surveillance.
It must have been something like a serial killer.
Rangers found Michael's abandoned vehicle parked along a walkway off Newfound Gap Road.
There it is.
It was an odd place to leave a car overnight, and not the kind of spot where someone on a normal hiking trip would be expected
there it
to begin
is. He must have gotten
like Derek, Michael was heavily searched for and not found during the initial effort.
He must have gotten
later,
pulled.
A backpack and human remains were discovered in the park near the area connected to his disappearance. The remains were eventually identified as Michael's, giving one of the 2 disappearances a grim ending, but not a clear explanation. The question of if the cases were related began to arise. But Derek's case continued to make no progress.
If you ask me,
he seemed to hit a wall. One possibility is that he went into the wilderness on purpose and intended not to come back, whether to take his life or somehow start a new one in the woods. The note in his car immediately points people in that direction, but even that theory has problems. If Derek meant to disappear in the mountains and possibly take his life, why buy so much survival gear first?
Why did he buy so much gear?
Kind of survival challenge.
Oh, hell no.
Again, why even
I am never going into the mountains, bro.
Maybe Derek meant to scout the area and return for the rest of his gear, and during that window he crossed
paths with someone, I'm never going to the mountains.
Intentions. Maybe the note was genuine, or maybe it was meant to mislead whoever found the car. But that theory has problems
That
too.
could be a good point too.
Body, blood, torn clothes, confirmed witnesses.
That could be a thing too.
Sign of an attack or abduction. More than a decade later, Derek Liu King is still missing.
Wow. Honestly, that is my verdict from this one. I think he legitimately, somebody must have been on that street. He tried to pull over trying to help them, because that happens in real life actually. A lot of times somebody is outside of their car and is waving for help, right? And most of the time that person could either be somebody that actually needs help, or it could be somebody that is trying to lure you out of your car and try to kidnap you to do whatever the they want to you, right? That is a very valid thing, and you should probably never get out of your car at night, especially when nobody's around. Just call for help, you know? Call from the safety in your car for help, because going outside of your car is extremely dangerous. I'm not gonna cap, especially, I don't know. It's just extremely dangerous to me. I would never get out of my car if I had one. if it's like late at night, someone's waving for help in a very abandoned location, I'm just gonna stay in my car. I'm gonna call for help, but I will not get out of my car. Hell nah. I'm sorry. That is just something that you don't do. I don't know. Maybe I'm awful for that. I don't know. Obviously, if they're injured, but even then, I'd still stay in my car and just call for help, right? I don't know. It depends. It depends on the situation, right? It also depends on if you're alone or have somebody with you. That too. I feel like 2 people have a better chance at escaping a situation like that. But yeah, I think he genuinely got taken. I think he genuinely got kidnapped.
Louise Chaput was the kind of person people remembered fondly.
Aww.
She was 52 years old, a mother of 2, and by all accounts, deeply compassionate. She loved the outdoors, forests, mountains, and quiet places where she found peace. So when plans for a hiking trip with friends fell through in November 2001, Louise did not cancel the trip. Instead, she decided to go alone. She packed up her silver Ford Focus station wagon, left Quebec, and drove south toward New Hampshire.
No, why would you do that?
Pinker Notch Lodge in the White Mountains section of the Appalachian Mountains. She
Why
planned
would
to spend
you
just a
do
few days
that?
there and be back home in time for work on Monday, November 19. It sounded simple enough,
but she never
the
came
place
back.
She was heading toward had a reputation of its own.
Oh
Mount
no.
Washington is beautiful, but it's also notoriously dangerous.
Oh
the area
no.
is known for brutal weather, lethal cold, and conditions that can turn deadly with almost no warning. Louise knew
so
that.
shit,
She had climbed
though.
Mount Washington before and had grown up hiking and skiing.
Oh,
she crossed into the United States through the state of Vermont shortly before noon on Thursday, November 15.
Canada.
By mid-afternoon, she reached the visitor center area. Louise stopped in and asked where she could take a short walk to stretch her legs after the long drive.
Oh,
she
no.
wanted something easy and brief to kick off her multi-day trip, something she could finish before dark. The clerk directed
first
her to
day?
Lost Pond Trail. It was just across the road from the lodge, a major fact.
Oh, that's
that
a
makes
nice
the
looking
case
lodge though.
unsettling.
Yo, hold up.
Louise did not set out on some extreme backcountry adventure. This was just a short walk.
Oh,
By
no.
somewhere between that simple plan and the end of the day, Louise vanished. When she
She's-
failed to return to Quebec and did not show up
Damn.
for work
The
on
first
Monday,
day?
alarm bells went off. Her boyfriend contacted authorities in New Hampshire and the search began. Their immediate thinking was the weather played a part. And at first, that assumption made perfect sense. Louise had gone alone into a mountain region famous for harsh weather, steep terrain, and sudden danger. In late November, even a short walk can become serious if someone slips,
Oh
gets
my
turned
God,
around, or
man.
spends
I
too
feel
long
so
out in the cold.
bad.
Everything about the setting pointed in that direction. By the searchers would soon find
Oh my
one
god. Imagine your mom just goes on a like hike and never returns. Dude, I would as a child, oh my god, that would be literally the worst fucking thing that could ever happen. Holy shit. Please. Also, why would you go alone on a hiking trip? I don't know. Okay, there's hikers that go alone, right? But like, I don't know. Like, if you don't do it like constantly every single time, I don't know. I just feel like going alone out into the wilderness is a bad idea in general. I don't know.
important clue. Louise's silver Ford Focus station wagon was still in the visitor center parking lot. The search unfolded in exactly the kind of conditions that make the White Mountains so feared. Dozens of people from the New Hampshire Fish and Game, Mountain Rescue Services, Androscoggin Valley Search and Rescue, and the U.S. Forest Service headed into the area. They were met by high winds, blowing snow, and bitter cold. Wind chills dropped well below zero. If a missing person is injured or exposed in those kinds of conditions, every hour counts. But the first day produced nothing. On the second day, the weather improved somewhat, and a helicopter from the U.S. Army National Guard joined the search from above. Still, nothing. Louise seemed to have vanished into one of the best.
She just got kidnapped. I feel like in these mountains, there must have been someone, or it must be very easy to get people. You know, like it's like a hotspot for kidnappers or some shit. These Appalachian Mountains, like what, man.
And
never
because
go
of
in
where
there.
she disappeared, most people naturally assumed the worst. She could have suffered a fall or
I know, damn right. I ain't going there no more.
And was lost in the wilderness. Anything was a possibility, which made the search for her that much harder. Then, on the afternoon of Thursday, November 22, Thanksgiving Day in the U.S., the search came to an end. Members of the New Hampshire Fish and Game found Louise's body, and the location only made things stranger. She was not found far from where her car had been parked, close to the trailhead and only a short distance from a well-used area. At first, the public details were limited, and in a place like that, most people still assumed the mountain had claimed another life. But 2 days later, that assumption collapsed. The medical examiner ruled Louise's death a homicide. Louise had been stabbed multiple times.
She's
Everything about it
gotten
was set up to look like a
stabbed?
wilderness tragedy. A solo hiker, a dangerous mountain range, bad weather, but what looked like a missing hiker case turned out to be a murder. And no suspect was ever identified. More than 2 decades later, her case is still unsolved.
No, man. She got stabbed a bunch of times?
On October 8, 1976, 16-year-old Trenny Gibson went on a school trip to the Great Smoky Mountains with about 40 other students from Barrett High School in Knoxville, Tennessee. She was quiet, well-liked, and interested in plants. In school, she was taking horticulture and hoped to study landscape architecture. A trip into the mountains was exactly the kind of thing she would have been excited about. The group was headed to Andrews Bald and Kuohi. The weather, though, was not great. It was damp, chilly, and poor enough that the trip could have easily been canceled. Trenny was also underdressed. She had left her coat behind in Knoxville and ended up hiking in a blouse, sweater, jeans, and tennis shoes. Another student, Robert Simpson, loaned her his wool jacket. The students were told to stay on the trail, not go beyond Andrews Bald, and be back at the bus by 3:30 that afternoon. After they reached Andrews Bald and ate lunch, Trenny separated from Robert at around 1:30 p.m.
Why?
He later said she wanted to head back.
Why would you separate? Why would you separate? Why would you even why would you let a kid separate? Why would you let a teenager? Okay, she's not a kid anymore. But why would you let a teenager separate? Why? Why? If your school plans a trip, right? I feel like this also happened to me before. I was also on a school trip, and it's like more of a hiking, like in the mountains type of trip. And honestly, we also could totally stray from the trail a bunch of times without one of our teachers even noticing. And that was also extremely dangerous because, first of all, if somebody gets injured and accidentally like rolls off a cliff, nobody would notice. First of all. Second of all, if somebody was just there to like, you know, kidnap kids, as that happens sometimes, they would just have a field trip. And that's why they should always make sure that you have every single child under supervision. Because like, what the that's what people imagine, right? That's what parents imagine the schools to do, right? To keep supervision on the kids. But yeah, this is sad.
Back towards the bus while he stayed behind.
I'm so sad.
As she made her way back, other students saw her along the trail.
Okay.
One girl walked with her briefly. Another group invited her to stop and sit down, but Trenny kept going. One student later recalled that Trenny seemed to be in a hurry. Then, at about 2:50 that afternoon, witnesses saw her walk a little further ahead, stop, bend down, and step off the trail to the right by herself.
Okay.
This was the last confirmed sighting of Trenny
Now, why
Gibson.
would you not
When students
hold
got
her
back to the bus around 3:30, it became clear something was wrong.
Why would you not
Trenny
hold her
was not
back if
there.
you see her go
teacher
off the
ran
trail?
down laps and searched too, but neither found
Like
anything.
what?
By around 4:30 p.m., rangers have been contacted, and the case became an official missing person search inside the Appalachian Mountains.
Man.
And the timing was awful. Evening was coming on, and rain, fog, wind, and falling
Yeah, it's
temperatures were
cooked. The
moving
weather
in.
conditions
The trails
on this
were
mountain
slick
are
with
cooked,
leaves,
man.
And visibility was getting worse by the hour. Even so, those looking for her would find evidence that Trenny may not have been alone. Searchers found broken undergrowth near the place where Trenny was last seen. Nearby were 3 cigarette butts and a partially consumed can of beer, suggesting that someone else may have been in that area. The strongest lead came from the tracking dogs. After being given Trenny's scent, they followed
She must have definitely not been alone.
Roughly a mile and a half away, where the scent then disappeared. Some thought Trenny may have moved toward the road
so
rather than
sad.
simply wandering
She must
deeper into
have-
the wilderness.
Oh.
The search grew quickly. Over the course of the broader search, roughly 756
Somebody
people
must
took
have
part,
done something to
and
her.
Despite all of that, nothing conclusive was ever found. The FBI
Nothing
opened an
conclusive?
investigation and looked into possible sightings that were reported. None of them led anywhere. The dead ends didn't seem to make any sense. She was not alone in the deep wilderness. She was on a school trip, on a marked trail in one of the
on a
most
school
visited parts of the
trip.
mountains. Then she stepped off the trail for just a moment and vanished. One theory is that she made it to the road and encountered the wrong person. Others believe someone around her that day knew
Someone
more than they
must
ever
have been
admitted.
there.
But nearly
Cigarette
50 years
butts
later, there is
and
still
an
no body,
empty
no
can
proven
of
crime
beer.
scene, and no clear answer as to what
It's so
happened to her.
cooked. It's so cooked, man. It's so cooked. She
Thelma
must have
Melton.
definitely
On
gotten
November
like
25, 1981,
the wrong person at the
58-year-old
wrong
Thelma
time.
Melton, known to her friends as Polly, went for what should have been
Okay.
an easy afternoon walk in the
Polly.
mountains. That day, Polly set out on the Deep Creek Trail in the Appalachian Mountains with 2 friends, Pauline Cannon and Trula
Okay.
Gudger. It was one of her favorite hikes.
2 friends?
A familiar trail that was well used and easy to follow. The weather was
Okay.
warm, the creek was shallow because of drought, and the trail was busy enough that other hikers were
All
often
right.
around. Nothing about
We've got
the
good
setting screamed
conditions.
danger. At first, the walk seemed normal, and Polly was in good spirits.
How did this
She even
happen?
made homemade spaghetti sauce before leaving, and expected to be back later that day to finish the
Homemade
ordinary
spaghetti
routines of
sauce.
her life. About an hour into the hike, around 4 p.m., the 3 women reached the turnaround point and started heading back. And that is where the case takes a strange turn. Polly, who had been walking more slowly than usual earlier in the day, suddenly picked up speed. One of her friends even joked that they weren't going to race her. Polly turned, laughed, and kept going. It was the last normal moment anyone had with her. That sudden burst of pace stood out because Polly was not young. She was a heavy smoker and had high blood pressure. She was not the sort of person anyone would expect to suddenly power away down a trail for no clear reason.
What the?
But that is exactly what she seemed to do. She moved ahead of her friends, went over a rise in the trail, and disappeared from
I'm
sight.
so confused.
They assumed Polly was joking around or hurrying back to check on her husband, Robert, who was waiting back at the trailhead.
Okay, but hold on a minute. She just randomly starts picking up, almost running, and looks back, smiles, and laughs. First of all, what do you mean? What do you mean? That's like, whoa, what do you mean that's just a joke? What do you mean? Why would you just randomly do that? Why would you just randomly do that? That's such a random thing to do. Did Polly get possessed? Did Polly get fucking possessed by the Appalachian Mountains?
But when they came over the same rise themselves, she was gone. Her friends still tried to make it fit an ordinary explanation.
Holy
but when back and Robert said Polly had not returned yet, the situation changed immediately. By then, she had been out of sight for close to an hour, and one small detail would linger afterward. Just before she disappeared over the hill, her friend said Polly had paused and waved. It was such an ordinary gesture, the kind that means nothing in the moment until it becomes the last thing anyone remembers. Her friends and their husbands went back out to retrace the route. They asked other hikers if anyone had seen her. No one had. And that made the case even stranger. The Deep Creek Trail was popular, and it was close to a parking area. It was certainly busy enough that someone should have noticed a woman like Polly if she had simply kept walking. By about 7 p.m., park rangers were contacted, and about an hour later, a formal search was underway. At thought they had at least one useful detail. Polly's shoes had a distinctive line across the sole that made her tracks easier to identify. But that clue went nowhere almost immediately. The trail was too busy and too many other people had passed through.
That's so eerie and creepy.
Where Polly had left the trail at all. Over the weekend, the search grew. Volunteers joined park rangers.
That is so eerie.
In the end, roughly 150 volunteers and 9 search dogs took part. And then came one of the strangest details in the whole case. When the dogs were taken to the point where Polly had been last seen, they reacted strongly. They picked up her scent, but instead of carrying it down the trail or off into the woods, they circled the area and howled. It was as if the trail simply ended where she vanished. Searchers found no clear path away from the point or obvious sign that she had wandered into the forest. There was no evidence of a struggle. All
right, these mountains, I'm just saying, a lot of disappearances. Never to be seen again. Just randomly an old woman just starts power walking across the fucking thing and suddenly disappears. I'm just saying, these mountains. Hey, maybe they're right. Maybe there are skinwalkers around. Fuck. Nah. Never going to the Appalachian Mountains, bro. Hell nah. Get me out of there.
Clothing, no dropped belongings, nothing. Rangers also ruled out some of the more dramatic natural explanations. The temperatures were mild, so exposure was unlikely. Animals in the area were also not considered large enough to drag her out of sight. Later, once leaves began to fall and visibility improved, helicopters surveyed the area from above. Still, nothing. The search continued for 5 days and officially ended on October 2. But the mystery only deepened once investigators started looking at Polly's life in the days before she disappeared. A pastor who knew Polly said she had seemed somewhat depressed after her mother's recent death. There was also an issue with missing Valium, an anxiety medication. Robert told investigators that his prescription bottle was gone, raising the possibility that Polly had taken it. This opened the door to a different theory. Maybe she had been more depressed than anyone realized and she meant to harm herself. Or maybe she took the medication, became disoriented, and somehow wandered off in a way searchers never thought of. Some people wondered if Polly had arranged to leave voluntarily, an idea that was built around a few strange facts. She skipped the volunteer shift she was expected to attend. She reportedly made unusual phone calls preceding her disappearance. There was a parking area and a road not far from where she disappeared, and her sudden burst of speed on the trail could look less random if she was hurrying to meet someone. Months later, that theory picked up one more odd detail. A check made out to Polly was cashed in Birmingham, Alabama, where her family had roots. but even that lead went nowhere. Investigators never established who cached it. And if Polly really had chosen to run off and start over, she did it in a way that required abandoning her medication, identification, clothes, and everyone who knew her. Her family believed that sounded nothing like her. Then there's the possibility of foul play. Her family seemed to lean toward this idea. Polly was walking alone while wearing jewelry, and she disappeared near a road and parking area. In theory, she could have been lured away, forced into a car, or picked up by someone.
Might have
but
been,
that theory has its own problem. Deep Creek Trail was public and busy.
That's the thing, Apparently there's been so many people there.
Never came forward with a convincing story of seeing Polly attacked, robbed, or taken. Polly Mountain was declared legally dead in 1988, and her family eventually held a memorial for her. But the National Park Service still lists her as missing, and more than 4 decades later, the mystery has stayed the same. A woman on a familiar trail walked ahead of her friends, waved the lights, disappeared over
I'm not going there,
and was never seen again.
These mountains? No. Bad. Very bad mountains. Okay, well, that was that. That was the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have a question for my YouTube chatters, for my YouTubers out there. Guys, have you ever been to the Appalachian Mountains, or do you live there? I'm very curious to see and find out. You should put it into the comments down below. I'm very excited. I'm very interested. These mountains seem to be definitely very scary. A very scary place to be. I'm not gonna lie. There's so many disappearances in there. Definitely not a spot that I would like to probably visit, but very interesting. The fact that most of these people are still missing is very scary. Very scary. But yeah. Alright, that was 6 most disturbing unsolved Appalachian mysteries. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. And if you wanna just come by and chill at my Twitch, because that's where I usually am live, then go and head over to twitch.tv/Juvira Arachne to come and join me and watch me do absolutely heinous stuff and ask the most interesting questions. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I hope I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.